Hi, Tony Selzer here. Welcome to the line. We have such a great show today. One of my favorite cities, San Diego. We've got Sarah Hardwick with Zenzi. Did I get it right? Zenzi?
Zenzi. Yep.
Zenzi. Now, they're this really cool marketing firm that's doing some amazing things for companies that need to use value or selling value or building value in their brand, in their image, in their entire experience, and how they're going to create this for the client, because we like to identify with things. We like to be around things that we like, that speak about us. And I'm just scratching the surface, but how important it is for you to help your clients figure out who their ideal client is and what their values are.
Yeah, I mean, it is critically important. And when you think about values, you might think about liberal values or family values, but values actually go, much deeper, and they really motivate what you think, what you feel, how you behave, how people communicate. And so, right now, most companies are really looking at their customers and targeting them based on demographics. And what we're finding is that these days, demographics, it's simply not enough.
Right.
And if you really want to not only connect with your customers, but inspire them to be ambassadors and inspire them to share and, help you to create word of mouth, you've got to go deeper, and you've got to really tap into those inner values and inner beliefs.
So when you're going through that process, I know you've got a very cool kind of process that you work the client through. Talk to us about that. What is that like, helping them realize what they didn't even know about their own business?
Yeah, it is amazing. We say a lot of times that we help companies give their data meaning, because a lot of companies have a lot of information about their customers that they don't even know might have clues to their inner values. And so we start and we really assess, and we do a map of, starting with the company values and what does the company stand for. And then we look at the customers, and we have 6 different distinct types that we find people typically will fall into. And so we'll look at data, everything from reviews about the company to social media data and engagement and posts that are happening, to email data and customer satisfaction surveys. And we assess all of this information, and then we look for what we call values markers. And those are basically clues that help us identify, hey, I think we're dealing with someone who is motivated by status, or perhaps we're dealing with someone who is all about tradition and they want to, be really loyal to brands that they love, for example. So each of these different types has, different characteristics that you have to take into consideration when you're creating your marketing campaign.
And what I think is so important for our audience to really kind of get their head around, it's one thing to know the explicit data about your clients, right? But it's another thing to understand the implicit data. I mean, we all think we make decisions logically, right? But there's that elephant in the rider, right? I mean, if you remember the book Switch, I mean, the elephant, if you motivate it, will rip the arms off the rider, even though the logic and reason is supposed to make the right decision. And we decide emotionally and justify logically, right? And you're able to help clients kind of get their head around that, to create messaging that speaks to that. And what's so powerful in my mind about what you guys are doing, Sarah, it's like, I've been in this agency game a long time, and what just drives me nuts is people comparing their pretty pictures to somebody else's pretty pictures, right? We've got really cool stuff, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And you're helping people make better decisions by knowing their customer better. Is that fair?
That's absolutely fair. And I think the cool thing about values is, a lot of times you might know, something might work. Say you have an email campaign that goes gangbusters, or a PR campaign that really resounds. But most of the time you don't really understand why it's working. And so values really help you to understand the why behind why the tactics that you're using are successful. And they're also a constant. So no matter what may change, the algorithm's going to change, Google's going to, certainly change, and all the marketing tools and the communications tools that we are using now are probably going to change next year and the year after that. But with values, you have a constant. So you always have a framework that is going to resonate and is going to impact the audience on an ongoing basis for the rest of their life.
One of the things that you said that was so smart, by the way, is like what I really appreciate is you admit, like, and I think this is really important for marketing firms and for companies like organizations like ours, ours together, to know we're not great for everybody, right? And so if you're selling a commodity, it's going to be really difficult to build a profile and justify that, trying to substantiate it. I mean, some brands have Morton Salt, you might make the argument that Morton Salt has, right? They branded a commodity, but but you know, knowing the types of businesses you should spend time going after, and some of those, like the car dealerships and the manufacturers, where you're going to live, the homes that you're going to buy, those are things that make statements about you. And that's where you've kind of skewed your business. Health and wellness, right? You guys know what swim lanes you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so important for us. And, you know, as well, we really try to align our company with clients that share our values. So, you know, not only industry specific, but we want to align with people and companies who get it, who are willing to take a little bit of a risk. You know, they don't want to just do the same old status quo. They're looking to kind of shake up their marketing efforts, are looking to do something a little different, and they want to go deeper. You know, they're not satisfied with the status quo. And so those are the types of companies that we tend to really gravitate towards. And those are the companies that we can actually make the biggest impact with from our standpoint.
Well, it's a gear effect, really, right? I mean, when you're finding the right partners, right, and the clients that you're gonna serve, they got to be able to gear off of you to create that leverage, and it's that co-creation factor is what we call it. Like, you know. And I can tell you guys go through this process too. A lot of times you're interviewing the client as much as them interviewing you, right?
Yeah, it's a marriage, you know. I mean, you want to work with people who respect you and, you know, who you have good camaraderie with and who are going to be open. And, you know, there's certainly a lot of things. And I'm sure, like you, after doing this for years and years and years, it becomes pretty clear which types of clients we really enjoy working with. Right. And, you know, we have the ability to pick and choose our clients, which is great. And we want to really focus on those that we feel are going to be the best fit for us and are going to have hopefully long-term relationships and not, you know, a client that's going to be gone in another 6 months. So we really handpick those to make sure that we have longevity and we can create real partnerships, true partnerships with our clients.
Sarah, when you're sitting down with these clients and you're like going through your process of figuring out whether or not you're going to play together, what do you find is the biggest fallacy or the biggest truth that they have a hard time getting their head around when they're starting to go through your process of understanding value-based marketing?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, a lot of people don't really understand the depth that values actually influence purchase decisions. And so when you think values or you think, you know, hey, you need to connect more deeply with your customers, people a lot of times will say, well, why? I mean, why? I don't understand why I need that deeper relationship. And I think what they're not recognizing is that there is really a shift in society and people now are demanding authenticity. They're demanding transparency from the companies that they do business with. So no longer are they just going to, you know, blatantly kind of use whatever, you know, product or services there. They're doing their research. They're reading reviews. You know, word of mouth and third-party credibility is so huge. And so the buyers today are much more educated and they are seeking to do business with brands that share their values. And so I think a lot of companies may not realize how important understanding their customers' values really are because things are changing and they're changing fast. Yep. And in order to, you know, stay up to speed, they've really got to have that insight.
The greatest story to illustrate what you just said is what Steve Jobs was able to do, right? I mean, the values were right on their sleeve. They wore it everywhere they went, and they were able to really beat Microsoft in sometimes with an inferior product, right? And they were able to go into different spaces because they kept and brought those same core values with them, and they were able to use the creative class, if you will, to train everybody to love Apple. And I think that's what you're helping clients do.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's really about energizing those relationships and getting people excited and connecting with them in a way that they say, wow, you know, they get me. You know, this company really understands what I'm all about. They're meeting my needs. They're working with me. They're speaking to me in a way that I want to, you know, really relate to. And so when you connect with people on that personal level, that's where you can create that Apple phenomenon where it just becomes, you know, this huge brand and it actually starts to become a movement. And that's what I think, you know, understanding values and speaking to, you know, companies or customers in that way, that can really help to create and inspire a movement.
Sarah, thanks so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you.